Hello everyone, Michael Voris here to tell you the download is back. I'll be on regularly with Christine Niles and Simon Rafe and a fourth special guest host from the CM crew. We're going to have in-depth discussions on the big news of the day and, of course, indispensable analysis from a Catholic perspective. So don't miss the download premiering on YouTube at 5 p.m. Eastern every weekday. God love you.
Satan himself says he's terrified of Pope Francis, but is he telling the truth? Now with us, our boots on the ground reporter, Dr. Jules Gomes. So Jules, exactly who is Satan telling all this to?
Brad, all these details have been uncovered for us in a book that has already hit the bestseller Amazon list. It's a book called Exorcists Against Satan, Face to Face with the Devil, by an Italian Vatican reporter, Fabio Marchese Ragona.
Okay, so what exactly is the devil saying in this book?
The devil is speaking through a number of people who are possessed. And in one instance, a Mexican priest exorcist who has been following the case of a young man called Angel talks about how the devil has been speaking through a number of people who are possessed. So one of the quotes, the utterances of the devil is, "I hate Pope Francis because he's the vicar of that one, but he scares me because of his power."
Okay, so that one, we'll just stick with that for a minute. Can you unravel for us that the who exactly is he afraid of here?
Well, that one is interesting because it could refer to the Lord Jesus Christ, of course, but if you read the book carefully, there is an extensive testimony from a nun who was possessed while she was at a convent in Rome. And when she had apparitions of the Blessed Virgin Mary through demonic forces. And when a Franciscan friar came to exorcise her, the devil began to refer to Lucifer as that one. So people who are debating this issue tell us that that one need not refer to Jesus. It could also refer to the devil himself.
Okay, well, one thing we know for sure, the devil is the father of lies. It's always difficult to understand exactly where the truth ends and the lie begins. You know, go back to the Garden of Eden, you shall be like to God, and all of that. Let's talk about this one exorcist that you brought up there. In the book, he remains unnamed, but a prayer uttered by Pope Francis in 2013 in the Vatican over a man named Angel from Mexico sheds a little light on that exorcist. Can you please explain that for our audience?
Well, Brad, you're absolutely right about Satan masquerading as an angel of light. The New Testament itself uses that term. And we're talking about Angel here, a real Mexican. He was 43 years old at that time, and it was on Pentecost Sunday. He was possessed for over 10 years. And he felt that if the Pope prayed over him, he would be delivered. So he flew all the way to Rome and met Francis on Pentecost Sunday in the general audience. And Francis laid hands on him and, prayed a simple prayer. But Father Gabriel Amorth, who was the renowned Vatican exorcist, who's no longer with us, he says Pope Francis actually prayed a prayer of deliverance. However, in the book, Pope Francis does an interview where he says that he's never conducted a proper exorcism since the time he's been the Pope. And in Argentina, when he was Archbishop of Buenos Aires, if there were cases of exorcism, which were very rare, Francis thinks, he would always get professional exorcists to conduct, the rite of exorcism.
So it's plausible that it could have been a deliverance prayer, but not a formal exorcism as such.
Yes, absolutely. That would be the case. Because the book goes on to say that Angel felt better, but he continued to be plagued by evil spirits.
Okay, our audience may not know the difference between deliverance prayers and not full-blown formal exorcisms going on, but prayers again, to curb the evil spirits. But that's another sidebar topic there. According to the book, what else do the demons say about Pope Francis?
Well, the demons say that God inspired Bergoglio, they call him Bergoglio, to proclaim the Holy Year of Mercy so that people would pray for him. But it was a fiasco. No one prayed. We conspired and created confusion around his teaching. This is what one demon says. Another demon, in the case of the nun, says, I hate him because he always speaks badly of me. Have you seen how much trouble I cause him? Him, of course, meaning Pope Francis.
Okay, well, in the interview there's an interview in the book itself about where Pope Francis is speaking. What is Pope Francis saying about all these demonic utterances by different evil spirits?
Francis's response is very interesting. He says, it's possible I always get on the devil's nerves because I try to follow the Lord and do what the gospel says, and that annoys the devil. At the same time, Francis says, the devil is happy when I commit some sin. He seeks man's failure, but he has no chance if there is prayer. And then Francis goes on to elaborate. He says the devil attacks those with more responsibilities in the church or in society. Even the Pope, therefore, is attacked by the devil. Then Francis moves on to his pet topic about how the devil is responsible for causing division in the church and destroying unity, causing wars and injustices. But sometimes he acts in a very diplomatic, in an almost polite manner, Francis says.
Well, the trad community watching out there is going to say, well, Pope Francis does a pretty good job himself of causing division, such as canceling the TLM, the whole Amoris Laetitia, and everyone's welcome, and who am I to judge, and all the confusion that's come out of the Francis papacy over the last 10 years. I don't think he needs a lot of help from the dark forces there to do that. But now the demons also are speaking about Freemasonry as well in the book, in the testimonies?
Absolutely. And the demons talk about how they have captured portions of the Vatican because a number of top high-ranking, cardinals and bishops and clergy are Freemasons. And one of the devils goes on to explain how they try to snare a very important cardinal, tempt him in various ways, but he always resisted. And he goes on to say, and for this reason I attacked him. The demon also says that Pope Francis is surrounded by my loyal followers because many of them occupy key posts in the Vatican, and I have infiltrated the Vatican.
Well, a lot of that we know is actually true of the Freemasonry and how it's infiltrated the hierarchy. Yes. The author of this bestseller also talks about priests in the Ukraine performing exorcisms against Russia's leader Putin. Can you tell us about that?
Well, that's very interesting because he goes into great detail and, in fact, quotes the entire prayer. He mentions Father Vasil Panteliuk, who is parish priest of St. Nicholas the Wonder Worker, a Greek Catholic church in the fourth largest city in the Ukraine. And Father Vasil directs his exorcism directly at Putin because a number of the Greek Catholic priests and other Catholic priests in the Ukraine believe that Putin was taken over by the devil. They don't actually use the word possessed. and he's doing Satan's work in attacking the Ukraine.
Well, I wish some of those prayers had come this way towards our Beijing Biden, for abortion and support of communist ideals.
Yeah.
What's finally, Pope Francis has been known to talk rather a lot about the devil, but there's kind of a problem here where Francis himself seemingly implies on different occasions that hell doesn't really exist in the way that we think about it as it does. How does he reconcile this seeming denial of traditional view of hell with the belief in the devil?
Well, the Vatican actually, on a rare occasion, did counter this charge about Francis not believing in hell after Eugenio Scalfari's famous or notorious interview, where it seemed like Francis had said he doesn't believe in hell. But the Vatican said that Scalfari had basically got that wrong. However, Francis Sandro Magister, who is a very famous Vaticanist, has pointed out from very early in Francis's pontificate, he has frequently talked about the devil with the same frequency as, almost the same frequency as the New Testament does, Sandro Magister says. And I'll quote from our church militant friend, Father Thomas Rosica, who writes, Pope Francis seems to be obsessed with the devil. His tweets and homilies about the devil, Satan, the accuser, the evil one, the father of lies, the ancient serpent, the tempter, the seducer, the great dragon, the enemy, and just plain demon are now legion. And Rosica says something very important. He says, Francis does not believe the devil to be a myth, but a real person, the most insidious enemy of the church. Several of my theologian colleagues have said that he's gone a bit overboard with the devil and hell. This intelligent Jesuit Pope is diving into deep theological waters, places where very few modern Catholic clerics wish to tread.
Yeah, because hell's supposed to be empty, so why not the devil's, vacate the place too? So, well, it seems the takeaway here, the devil would at least always fear the papal office, the Patrine office, even if the one sitting on the chair of St. Peter isn't really all that scary. Well, anyway, thanks for being with us, Jules. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brad.